controls over to you, and we can jump into it.
Awesome. Okay, so I think I'm sharing my screen now with everybody.
Yep, you look good, man.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so basically I wanted to go through just a few things. Some of it is stuff that's coming in the next release, and some of it is stuff you guys already have. Just kind of go through it a step at a time. The first thing I wanted to kind of give everybody a tour of is some things we did a little while back and released out, and it's just the lesson and section and course organization. And so we got a lot of feedback that it took a little long time to build out your lessons and quizzes, and everything was kind of set up on the course, and it was hard to just build out lessons and sections. So what we did was we built out some new features here, and I'm just going to kind of jump right into them. So the first feature is, actually the first feature is on the grid. We added some new columns here, and you can see what your assigned course is, your assigned section, whether or not there's a prerequisite, if there's any memberships required, and we have that on the lessons and sections, so it's an easy way to see and sort from a few different things. When you go into the lessons now, so when you create a new lesson, there's this new Metabox called Section Tree, and that's just an easy way that you can quickly assign your lesson to a section. And you'll see here's all the lessons that are also associated with that section, and you can easily just hop around between them now. You can also jump over to the section, and then on the sections we've got the section tree. So the section tree again shows all the lessons that are associated with that section, but it also has a quick and easy way for you to jump around and maybe assign that section to another course or quickly get over and view your course. So you don't have to start with the course anymore. You can build out your sections and lessons and add them later or add them as you're building it out. When I go down to the syllabus, we also added some quick links. So if you want to edit a lesson or a section, you just click this little bar here. If I added a new section that I had created and get some lessons on there. The other thing we added was section sorting. So we already had lesson sorting. You can quickly drag and drop your lessons to reorganize them, but now you can actually drag your sections and sort them too. So you no longer have to delete a section and recreate it to get it in the right order. You can just grab them and drag them around. And again, this automatically saves. You don't have to jump up and click the update button whenever you do anything to the sections and lessons. So it's just a little something that we built out to try to help you guys be able to build out your courses a little bit quicker and maybe a little bit more organized.
I love it. Love the improvements.
A quick one that's coming in this next update for memberships. We got some feedback on memberships. One thing that a lot of people wanted to do is they wanted to be able to give out like a free trial or 30 days, a 30-day membership, or at the very least be able to set a membership to expire at a certain time. So we built this membership expiration Metabox. What you can do here is you can put in your interval, and that's just a numeric number, and then you can select your expiration period. So if I wanted to create a membership that allowed people 30 days access to the site, I could quickly just make a 30-day membership, save that, and then anyone that signed up for that free 30-day membership, it would expire after 30 days, and they could then have to purchase the full year paid membership or whatever. You don't have to use this if you just don't enter anything in the interval. Then it doesn't use it, but if you want to, it's there for you to use. And the other thing I want to show you guys is just a quick little tour of the quiz functionality. So when you get the next update, the Courses tab has two new sections inside of it, and that's quizzes and quiz questions. And so we separated these out so that we had a stronger framework for building out more robust quiz questions later on in the future, and it also allows you to create generic questions that you can add to multiple quizzes. So no question can only be assigned to one single quiz. You could use the same question in multiple quizzes. So when you're building out your quiz questions, it's very simple. You can give it a title, and the title's not ever going to be displayed to a user, so you could give it something like, I've got a Doctor Who course, so I can do Doctor Who quiz 1, question 1. And then inside of the text edit box, this is where you can do whatever you want for the question. So you can put in a really robust question with images and PDF downloads, anything you want to add, or you can simply just put something like a quick little question. There's a couple other features. So once you create your question, then you can select your answers, and you can just create the answers. So I will whip this question up really fast. I'll give it one more option. Points to anybody that knows the answer to this. Okay, and then the last thing you can do is select whichever is the correct answer. So what we're building here is a framework for really good quiz functionality, and it can expand beyond quizzes, and you could use it for surveys, or you could use it for really robust tests. And right now we're just doing the single answer questions, but what we plan on building out is a select box where you can select different types of question types. So once you build out your question, you just publish it, and then that just exists. So when I go to my quizzes and I want to create a quiz, I've already got one here. I can go into my quiz, and there's a couple features in the quiz section. There is the number of allowed attempts. So if you leave this box blank or enter 0, it'll allow people to attempt as many times as you'd like, or you can set a number of attempts. So if you only want to allow them 3 attempts on this particular quiz. And then there's a passing percentage. So if you want to require them to get a certain percentage to continue, you can enter something in here, or if it's just simply a survey or a fun quiz, you don't have to give any passing percentage. But then once you do that, you can build out your quiz options. So when you build out your quiz, you simply just click Add a New Question, and then you can find those questions that you created. So there's my Doctor Who question that I created. And then you can assign the points to it, and the points relate to the passing percentage. So if you heavily weight one question, it'll be weighed more on the percentage. And you can quickly, like if I wanted to add one more question to this, I could just click the edit button and go edit that. I can drag and drop them to restore them. And I didn't show you this on the question, but just with the quiz and the question, you can preview. So once I create the quiz, then I can go through the entire quiz and make sure that it's exactly how I want. And that takes you through the whole quiz, and you can do it as many times as you want as administrator and see exactly what your users will experience. And same for the questions. You can preview those and make sure that they're formatted the way you want. The question is exactly how it should look. And that's pretty much it. We've got a few other small updates, lots and lots of little tweaks just to make the whole system better, make it work a little bit better with themes. We've got a couple other enhancements that we're planning on launching out. I don't have those on my machine right now to show you guys, but I just wanted to give everybody a quick tour of some of the things that we've done and some of the things you can look forward to getting.
Hey, Mark, can I ask you a quiz question?
Yeah.
We're not ready yet, but what is our thinking around assignments and how would it be a type of quiz or its own type of thing, or what's the vision for assignments when a user needs to like upload something?
So with the assignments, they're going to be based just like the quiz questions. In fact, it will be treated as a quiz question. So you just say that assignment. Oh, and I didn't show that. That's a good point. So if I go into the lessons and I go into whatever lesson I want the quiz to be assigned to, and so that can either be, you can have as many quizzes throughout the entire course just by assigning them to multiple lessons, or if I want the quiz to be kind of a final for the course, I'll assign it to the last lesson in the course. And that's just as easy as selecting whatever assigned quiz you want to have. And that'll be the same for assignments. So you'll create your assignment, you'll set what's required to be uploaded, and then you just assign it to a lesson. And then that can also be reused for multiple lessons.
Awesome. Well, let's open it up to Q&A and hear what's on the mind of the community.
Yeah, sounds good. I've got a question. Well, first off, everyone who's in here, feel free to start dropping questions into the question box, and then I'll read them to the guys here. So this one is from Sebastian, and he asks, is it possible to set a time limit for a quiz?
Absolutely. I don't believe we're working on that currently. I don't know if that's going to be in the update that we push out this week, but that is going to be right behind it. Right now, what we do is when a quiz starts, we actually save the time that quiz was started, and so what we're working on is just a box where you can put in the allowable time limit for that quiz. So absolutely.
Yeah. Great. There's only one question. I think you just rocked them. Well, that's fantastic. You know, Mark, I think what I love to see here is we've really done our best to listen to the essentials and what people want in this feature, and we want to get this out to everyone and get people using it and get feedback on their experience setting up quizzes. What's that like? Is it hard? Is it easy? How we can refine that? How we can start to add the nuances of a really robust quiz system. And I think we have such a phenomenal foundation to work on, which is a lot of fun. You know, one of the things too, I think, is the, you know, in the future, looking at really, I guess you could call it an analytics dashboard of your students and how they're progressing. I know that's something we've talked about at a high level, but I would love to hear how people what people would expect from that sort of feature. So those of you on the call, if that's something I could ask, is think about, like, what would the ideal experience look like when you log in and you see all your students, and what do you want to know, you know? Because that's such an interesting feature to me, but I think it's gonna be a group effort to make it really good, and that's, you know, why we have the LifterLMS VIPs. So I've got Ian here who's raising his hand. Ian, I'm going to unmute you real quick so you can ask a question. How's it going, Ian?
You know what? I'm getting used to the interface here, so I raised my hand by accident. Maybe I need to go to the restroom or something. And you can hear from my voice that I'm not very talkative today. So.
Oh well, I hope you feel better. But thanks for.
Listen, well, you know, while I have you on here, I have not started to use this at all, and I don't know who the participants are on this webinar. But so if I'm asking a question that is boring to everybody else, forgive me. But since it looks like we've got some open airspace here, I'll just ask it, which is this whole business of quizzes. Do we have the capability to create a lesson that has, you know, that has the quiz questions interspersed in the lesson? So you go for 5 minutes and then a question pops up and you have to answer that question to hear the rest of the lesson, that kind of thing.
No, but that's a really cool idea. The way that we have it structured now is you can only assign one quiz to a lesson, and
yeah,
what it basically replaces, if I go to one of these, I go to my course, and I think I have a quiz. Basically, it replaces your mark complete button with a take quiz button and requires the quiz to be completed in order to complete the lesson. But I think that's a really good idea to be able to sparse them out within the content.
Well, it's, you know, it's part of maintaining engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you know, you can skip the lesson, go take the quiz, and then come back, which I guess that's okay too, but from a learning perspective. But we've got a situation where we want people to actually spend the time. So.
Yeah, that's great feedback, Ian. Thank you for that. That's what we're looking for, and I agree. Engagement is absolutely huge.
I think one way you could structure that is to, instead of thinking of it as within the lesson, you could think of it within the section. And sometimes
Sure.
we get caught in the course, section, lesson
Right.
mentality, and they could really be expanded. So if you treated the section as the lesson,
Right.
each lesson would be very short content with a quiz that they had to
Right.
get through. And
3-minute lessons and a question, and then another 2-minute lesson and another one question quiz or something like that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks for that. And as I say, and then as far as, well, these are not questions that are really fair to ask if there's other people listening, because there's probably stuff I should know, but I just haven't started to use it at all yet. But as far as we've got some videos that are being developed already, and as far as importing the whole video in and just having that be the lesson, let's say it's a 5-minute video, that's pretty easy to do, I presume.
Yeah, there's 2 ways to do that, and we've actually worked with some people who do that specifically. Their lessons are complete video. We have the video within the lessons and the courses. There's a video embed and an audio embed.
Okay, yeah.
And the easiest way, if you want that video to be the primary content of the lesson, you just paste the URL within here to wherever you're hosting that, whether you're hosting it on your WordPress site or you're hosting it on Vimeo, YouTube, or Wistia.
Okay. And just play it.
Yep, and then it just becomes the content of the course. And you can also add content up above and below that video embed, but that's the easiest way to get that in. If you have multiple videos, the lessons and courses are just like posted. You can use the add media import to go ahead and add any that you have.
Okay. Now, what about stuff that might have been developed some time ago that has the questions, has the interspersed quiz that we were talking about, and that's maybe SCORM based? Do we need to recreate the thing pretty much from scratch?
At this point, yes, we've been actively investigating integration with SCORM.
Yeah.
And that's something that if we have enough of the community that either has previously used it or would like to use it, we would definitely build out more integration for that.
I mean, you've sort of been making the case in the past that SCORM is not really the look of the future.
And that's true too. I think one thing we've heard a lot of feedback on is migration, which I think exactly is what you're talking about. And while it's difficult to do, if there's enough of a group that has a particular, like whether it's SCORM or it's from another LMS system, like LearnDash or WPLMS, we could build out an integration tool for that.
Okay. All right. I'm happy.
Thank you, Ian.
Awesome. Thanks, Ian.
So Jeff is confirming here. Says our quiz functionality looks awesome. Thanks, Jeff. And he's going to need these features in the future projects. So that's awesome. I agree. Does anyone else have any questions? And if they don't, I want to actually share kind of a mastermind concept. I wasn't prepared to share this, but I would like to since we have some extra time. So if anyone has any questions, throw them in the question box. Otherwise, I'll transition back. Cool.
While we're waiting to see if we have any other questions, I just want to add that since we're talking about video, a really nice, engaging thing you can do with the way these quizzes are built is that you could actually have the quiz question be a video. If it's you as an instructor or another teacher on your platform could be on video asking the question, which is really cool.
Yeah, and that's basically why we built it out as 2 sections. We did a lot of research on different quiz WordPress and outside of WordPress integrations that have been done with Moodle and other LMS systems as far as quiz functionality. And what we came up with is we wanted to build a really solid framework, and separating out the quizzes and the questions gave us the ability to allow you guys to build out really, really robust questions. And that's what we're going to start focusing our attention on, is building out question types that haven't been done before, and it's going to be really exciting.
So if anybody has any like really specific quiz wish lists or desires and needs, please post that in the feature requests forum on LifterLMS.com, because we're totally listening, and the quiz functionality is really one of the areas that we're really focusing in on and doubling down on.
I think that and engagements are really the strong pieces to keeping users interested and also tracking completion.
Right. Right. Well, that's a great transition into this concept. So anyone who's had a call with me or talked, we might have talked about my background in academia and publishing and knowledge management, and that was it still is a passion area of mine. I love to study the way that people learn and how knowledge is transferred from one mind to the next. And I'm going to use Draw.io here to see if I can't sketch a new concept that I've been really working on for a while now, and I'm going to give you the 101, the simplification, but it has to do with some of the actually like applies. Lifter can apply to this model. So this is an academic model, well, somewhat of an academic model. It's I don't know if I'm going to have the time to really publish around it anymore, but it's something that I think is really interesting when it comes to engagement. So if anyone is familiar with like Seth Godin, he wrote a book a while back called, I think it's just called The Dip or Dip. And basically it's a book about motivation and what happens when you start a project, and that motivation kind of starts off with a bang. You're in that honeymoon period. Everything's good. Everything's rocking. You're having so much fun. And then you kind of like hit this dip, and that's like when you decide whether or not you should go on or not. So what I'm doing here is I'm it's a really poorly designed dip, but I'm going to put the dip on an XY axis here, because what I've seen in courses, and I've experienced this personally when I'm going through a course, as well as when I've taught courses in the past, that on this axis here, the x-axis, you have time, or you could say steps, or you could say lessons. You could say, I'm just going to say lessons here. And on the other side, you have the motivation level. So I'll just say motivation. Again, like I said, this is a really rough model, but so you start out, you buy the course, and immediately motivation starts. You're excited. You're ready to get into it. You go through lessons 1, 2, and 3. You get to a point maybe around lessons 3 or 4, and you just start to fall off, and you're not sure. You like question the information, or maybe you get like distracted with another course you want to take, or you're in classic college, it's like midterms is right around here. You're like, oh, I can barely get through it. And then if you do stay with the course, usually your motivation goes up towards the end when you start to when you're able to see kind of like that light at the end of the tunnel. You can see that you're going to complete it. And so the kicker right here in education, in my experience, has been, how do you get people encouraged and motivated through the middle of your course? And I think what's interesting about LifterLMS is we have a really unique ability to trigger engagements and quizzes and that sort of thing when in that middle part of a course. And one of the things I'm excited about is to see what happens as a community when we start to do this. So back in an old Infusioncast interview I did, which Infusioncast, for you who are listening who don't know, is the podcast I've been running for almost a year now for the Infusionsoft community. And one of the ladies I interviewed was named Laura Posey, and she had this phenomenal system. It was a custom system that she had built using a number of different technologies, but it essentially watched for when this dip happened. And then when it started to see a drop off of engagement, it would immediately start triggering different types of communications to the student to make sure that they were okay. She did just a great job making it really personal too. And her course is all about strategic planning and creating a smart strategic plan for small businesses. So the problem she's solving there is a lot of small businesses they don't plan at all. and they struggle to grow because they don't really have the foresight. But she was noticing like around like lesson 3 or 4, people would just drop off. And so what she did is she started a couple of things. She started increasing communication during that time, which I think is interesting, right? So she knew that she didn't need to communicate a lot at the beginning because people are already self-motivated. And plus, because you're not communicating, people aren't like shutting you out. They're not used to that. But she triggered increased communication midway through her course. The other thing she did is she had triggers based on whether or not people were logging into the course. And if a certain amount of time went by and they hadn't logged into the course, she would trigger a email to go out to them asking if everything was okay. And I shared a little bit about this, but one of the things that happened were fascinating to me. I mean, she found out certain students would reply to that email with, "Oh, I got a job promotion, and it's just been so busy." Well, that really creates a unique opportunity to be human with that student. And she would, Laura's just a phenomenal person, so she would send them, a card or a bouquet of flowers or something. The same would happen when she found when something went bad. So, for instance, when someone would reply, "Well, I'm sorry, my mother-in-law just passed away, and I haven't been able to take the course." Well, she's able to communicate to them in a different way, but in a very personal way. And ultimately, what happened is a lot more people started taking the courses because that just breeds really great word of mouth. Like this professor or this teacher that I was taking this course from online, like actually cared. And I think what's happening is like with LifterLMS as a foundation, you can enact those types of engagements automatically, and then also, depending on how your student responds, respond back in a very human way. So I wanted to share this. This is a model that I'm kind of formulating some of the nitty gritty details right now, but I really want to test it and try and illuminate where does motivation drop off in education and how can we do things to get people engaged through the entire course. And I really want to push on that. So just a quick little VIP concept. I apologize that my graph there's a little shoddy, but I promise I'll make it prettier in time. But I wanted to share that so that those of you who are actively creating courses keep that in mind, because it is a real issue in traditional education as well as online education. Cool. So I've got a couple questions here.
I just wanted to add to that, Joshua.
Yeah.
And we in no way, I didn't even realize you were going to do that, but there's another feature that we're releasing in the next release. There's actually 2 new engagement triggers. One is when a user registers, you can fire off any number of engagements. And the other one that we've added is days since user last logged in.
Great.
So you can put in a number of days, you can select that engagement, and you can send them off an email if they perhaps haven't logged in 10 days. And so that kind of falls right alongside with what you were saying. So if you notice that users haven't logged in for a while, you can trigger off a personalized email just to let them know that you know that they haven't logged in, and you just want to see if there's anything that you can do or get some feedback from them.
Yeah, it's so important, and it's oftentimes an overlooked detail. Of course, you got to have great content to begin with, but I really think it's how you deliver that content and engage with students that's going to breed better learning and innovation, as well as, if you're selling this in a kind of e-learning business, it'll increase sales for sure. Chris, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, you are kind of our subject matter expert when it comes to learning LMS systems in general in education. You've done so much of this. I mean, what have you found in your experience when you're able to be engage people through a course?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a big topic, and at the end of the day, if you're thinking about trying to sell more courses or just get more users in your system if you have a free course, the best marketing is a good product. And having a good product, it's easy for us to think about the features and all this information we can pack in there. But just like John Lottie mentioned in the comments here, John said relationships and interaction are key ingredients to create and maintain interest and motivation. It's absolutely essential, and then the marketing job doesn't get so hard because your users are going to spread the word. That's how things go viral. That's relationship marketing and that sort of thing. But it's also the big opportunity in in learning management systems, and we've done a podcast episode about this on LMScast. If you haven't found that, lmscast.com, where we talked about the difference between a membership site and a true learning management system. And this opportunity for engagement in order to maintain and increase motivation has so many positive side effects for everyone involved in the system that it's a really key area to focus on. So yeah, it's that, and that's how we're kind of being a little different in the space is it's not just features, it's really when we build Lifter LMS, we think about what you all on this call need in terms of your system and your software and what we can automate. But at the end of the day, what we do and what I would also recommend you do is when you're making a decision about what you're going to do in your course or how you're going to structure your entire platform, to have that end user, like the person who's actually going to take the course in mind and think about their interests first, motivation being a big part of that, that's the key to success. And that's how some platforms, the difference between a platform taking off and one that kind of goes stale and stagnant.
Yeah, it's a great point. Awesome. Well, if anyone has any questions about that or any comments, I'd love to see them in the chat box. I just want to talk to everyone. I love talking to this crew, man. I've had so many cool phone calls with people this last week. It's been awesome. Yeah. Well, if anyone doesn't have any questions, I think we'll just wrap this up and keep it kind of short. I would love to hear everyone's comments throughout the week in the Facebook group over at the VIP closed Facebook group. We've had some cool conversations over there. I saw Jeff over there, so thank you, Jeff, for jumping in and chatting with us, and John, you too. And it's fun to communicate in Facebook. I mean, I'm guilty of spending a lot of time there, but it's always nice to jump over to the community and dialogue with all of you. And I would love to hear what you're building too, what your courses are going to be around, and so we can offer suggestions on how to make those better and that sort of thing. So yeah, with that, any closing thoughts, Chris or Mark?
I would just say that if anybody is, wants to share what you built publicly, we'd be glad to do like a blog post. If you want to like write up something about your learning management system that you built with Lifter, and which helps a little bit with your SEO and also just kind of gets the word out, we're more than happy to do that. Or if you're interested in being on LMScast to either talk about your site or just talk about something in online education or learning in general and that sort of thing, we'd love to connect with you and help you however we can in that way. And also just as a way to give back to the community, if you have something you want to share about your successes or failures in online education, we'd love to help out with that via the blog or the podcast.
Yep, right on.
Yeah, and I'll just add that the next release of Lifter is a pretty large one with the quizzes and all the other functionality we've added. So Josh and I are going to be doing a video demo of all the different features, and we'll have that up on the blog so everybody can go check that out. And there'll be what I showed you guys today, plus a handful of other things as well.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining the call today. Oh, Ian says he thinks he failed to download the VIP version as the download expired. Ian, are you talking about the actual link to Lifter LMS, like the plugin file? You can just type yes. Okay, cool. Chris, let's write a note to get that to Ian to make sure he's
sure
all set up. John is asking for a link to the Facebook group. All right, I'm going to put this in the chat for everybody. It's facebook.com/groups/LifterLMS VIP. You can see we've got some Jeff and John, everyone here. But yeah, I'm going to put this all in a follow-up email to the whole group, and yeah, it's going to be awesome. So thank you everyone for jumping on here. We appreciate it, and we'll be in touch in the next few days with. Well, I'll be in touch this afternoon with the recording of this, and then we're always here for you. If you have any technical questions, hit us up at help@LifterLMS.com, and we look forward to all the conversations in the Facebook group.